Dear students, let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 4th March 2017. The first article, War, State and Martyrdom. Here, we will not be discussing the political aspects related to this. How a nation state behaves, what shall a modern nation state shall consist of, and then what do we mean by martyrdom? So these are the various questions we are going to expose ourselves to. Again, whatever I am going to discuss over here, I will not be entering into the political debate or electoral debate or emotional debate. I will be just looking it from the exam perspective. Now, I have gone through Mr. P. Sainath's videos on the nature of functioning of the state. Then he has given certain observations. Whenever there is human tragedy, then the state and the people within the state and corporates which are well connected with the state, all of them have become prosperous. War is such a tragedy that benefits the vested interests. And he took the example of tsunami in India, which has led to vast destruction and loss of life. If you compare at the same time, the indices on the stock exchanges, they have went up. That shows that the human tragedy is not connected with the Sensex. There is also an explanation given this way. So whenever there is destruction, there is an opportunity for reconstruction. It means that more you are getting the funds released for the same activity. Now, if you take United States of America, defense sector, it has a vested interest to promote the existing rivalry between the countries and also existing rivalry with Russia. Whatever the challenge that Trump is facing vis-a-vis Russia can be explained about well-trenched interests of the defense establishment of Washington. Here, the NATO's existence and added to that, weapon industry in the United States and Russia, they want to keep that rivalry to continue. So, the modern states, these are not peace-loving states. And at the same time, they are not infallible. So, they go for wars and they cause huge tragedy to the people. So, in this context, in a democracy, people questioning the attitude of the nation state towards national security and use of the armed forces and driving the people towards the war will keep the war under check. And the second thing is, nationalism is to unite the people, it is not to divide. And the third factor which I want to stress is, from First World War onwards, if you see, the entire modern world history is filled with few people who have occupied the power of the state to gain or to control its resources and to impose a faith or identity onto the people. Either it is Nazi Germany or fascism in Italy, etc. So my point is this. A modern nation state is not infallible. It is filled with faults because it is ultimately managed by the people. And these people have their own faults. And they have their own self-interest or vested interest. So, in our public administration, we have public choice theory. So, it very much questions the basic intent of the ruling class. That is, to what extent they are public spirited. So, we have built the entire edifice of administrative system, democracy, welfare state on believing that the people in the public life work towards the public interest. They say that this premise itself is wrong. Every individual will be guided by the self-interest. The self-interest for a politician is in vote maximization. So this vote maximization may make him to use nationalism or war as a tool towards influencing the voting behavior of the people. So from that perspective, this article has been written. So remember that nation and state, they are not one and the same. A state is a geographical entity. A nation is more a socio-cultural entity. Against the state, yes, we can criticize. But against the nation, or any anti-national activity, yes, it can be curbed. But anti-state activity is within the scope of our constitution. We can criticize the state and its actions. The major challenge comes when we keep the anti-state actions or project the anti-state actions as anti-national and tries to curb the freedoms of the citizens. That is what is the major challenge. Here another context we have to see is related to the social media. Now a freedom of expression is being trolled by the others in the name of their own freedom of expression. So that means the rights debate is entering into a new dimension in post-truth era, in the social media era, in the alternative facts era, that we need to examine over here. Next is, the road to China is through Kabul. You know that recently Foreign Secretary Jaishankar has visited China. Now, for the first time, China is talking about solving the border dispute. It is majorly emphasized that if you take the trial of the things, in 2005 when Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister, we have brought in guiding principles and framework for engagement. It has been signed, or the parameters for engagement was signed. So according to this, the border will be aligned based on the interests of the people across the border, taking their sensitivities into consideration. So China has sent the intent that if India is ready to compromise on the eastern sector, it is also ready to compromise on the western sector. And now before 1962, how the situation was? The China wanted to have the control over the western sector because the road to Lhasa goes through Aksai Chin. So the fast mobilization of the troops to Aksai Chin through Tibet, that can only be possible if they have the control over the Aksai Chin. Now they are asking for the eastern sector. To what extent we can believe this is a question? And the second thing is, with regard to Afghanistan, China is facing a new challenge. Recently, Uyghur Muslims, they have made a statement that the blood shall flow in Xinjiang province, and the Islamic State and the language of the Islamic State is getting appeared. So though the China state is very strong against the terrorism and it has made its presence felt in Xinjiang, there is a huge violation of the rights of the citizens over there. So in this context, whenever the rights are being violated, the terrorism can easily take roots over there. And second, the Taliban, obviously they can influence the insurgency. Now, India has taken up a goodwill diplomacy in Afghanistan which is working. So, China wants to have the stability in Afghanistan for its infrastructure projects to get successful. And the second is, the China also wants to fight the terrorism and instability in Afghanistan. So till date, the China has believed that the route to Afghanistan is through Pakistan. For the first time, China is proposing for India to engage in joint project management in Afghanistan. The reason here is, India and China, they have common concerns with regard to terrorism. But there are certain challenges. Pakistan do not like India's presence in Afghanistan because it sees it as its sphere of influence. And China don't want to override the Pakistan to engage with India. So the regional approach to fight the terrorism is dominated by the bilateral relations between China and Pakistan. And the second thing, the China and its perspective on Taliban is very much different from India. India believes that a terrorist is a terrorist. There is nothing called a good or bad terrorist, but it is not the case with China. It believes that some groups of the Taliban can be worked out to support the existing state mechanism. And finally, on counter-terrorism, you have seen the China's reaction to include Mr. Azhar in under 1267 committee in the United Nations. So from this perspective, we can say that the China's approach may not be wholehearted, but a new regional grouping or a regional approach, cooperation to tackle terrorism is developing India also shall take this opportunity forward. And the next is crossing a bridge. This is about Indus Water Treaty. So India, Pakistan signed this Indus Water Treaty. I think Prime Minister Nehru, on the other side it is Ayub Khan, if I am not wrong. So in the Indus Water Treaty, the west flowing rivers Indus, Chenab and Jhelum, they shall go to Pakistan, and eastern rivers that shall come to India. So among these west flowing rivers which are being allocated to India, India can use them for drinking water, irrigation, navigation purposes. So India is building two dams. One is on Jhelum, that is Kishan Ganga, and the other one is Ratil Dam on Chenab River. So Pakistan raising the objections to this. The concerns of the Pakistan are more related to security, because if the dam burst occurs, then it may India or else it may flood the Punjab region. And the second thing is, the Kishan Ganga, it claims that it is violation of the Indus Water Treaty. So what India is doing is, it is storing this water for irrigation and drinking water purposes, not for the other uses. So the water will be released back for after electricity production, etc., back into the stream again, so that the net water available to the Pakistan is not changing. That is the India's argument. But the terror acts between India and the Pakistan-sponsored terror act, it has changed the Indus Water Treaty, or else I'll use the word properly over here. So it has made India to rethink on permanent commission which is appointed to discuss the Indus Water Treaty regularly. It means that any issue is there will be presented before the permanent commission, and it will be solved through dialogue. If it is not solved, the matter will go to a neutral expert of the World Bank. If then also not solved, the matter will be put for arbitration. This is the mechanism devised. Even during the war between India and Pakistan, the permanent commission always has met. Now, when terror attacks have happened against Indian bases, military bases, India said it will not participate in any engagement with Pakistan, including permanent Indus Commission. And finally, World Bank mediation has led India to participate and accept the Pakistan invitation. That is the brief history of this. Moscow shadow. Many of the Trump's administration, people in the Trump's administration, they have connections with the Russia, and the security concerns in the Washington establishment, they dominate now, and the Russia's concerns are majorly the headache to the Trump now. But we have discussed enough on this, we don't need to touch. Coming to this, India's plea on reform in medicine. So there is access to medicine reform. So this access to medicine, it talks about, criticizes the patents mechanism and states that United States patents mechanism or existing patents mechanism, it is not providing for availability of the drugs at the cheaper prices. And the second thing is, it wanted to see the development of the drugs from the perspective of the diseases that are taking the toll. It means the research need to be guided towards the diseases that are killing the people the most, rather than the diseases that are more remunerative to the multinational companies. So most of the MNCs are more interested on cancer research rather than on the tuberculosis research. This report stresses on having an emphasis on the tuberculosis research. India wants to present this report in WHO meeting, but however, the vested interest in the United States did not allow for the same. And the next is, let's go to the front page. So for olive ridleys, it's paradise lost. Now here understand, olive ridleys are the endangered species. So in Orissa, you know Baitar Kanika, and then Gahir Mata, this coastline is important for nesting of the olive ridleys. So in the Gahir Mata, this habitat is reducing slowly. So the reduction in the nesting habitat is the major reason for the extinction of this olive ridleys. That reason you need to emphasize. And then let's go to the nation page. Again, Western Ghats issue. So with regard to the Western Ghats, remember the committee that is called Gadgil Committee. So entire Western Ghats need to be declared as eco-sensitive zone and no industrial activity shall be allowed for, that is the recommendation of the Gadgil committee. And obviously those will be delayed forever, their implementation will be delayed. Now, so the notes I have prepared, will just go through that. Again, the notes will be placed at lax.in/civils prep. So by Monday, I think we'll be posting the economic survey video by Sandeep sir. So thank you very much. All the best.